Hey everyone, I wanted to make another video talking all about sensorimotor OCD, my experience with it, the common myths that I see, and why I see so many people coming for coaching that are still stuck in the sensorimotor cycle, whether it's the big five, blinking, breathing, swallowing, salivating, and your heartbeat, and or other ones such as the hyper-awareness of your consciousness, hyper-awareness of your body sensations like your bladder function, your eyelids, your tongue against your teeth. It's really any sensation, the principles apply, but most people that are coming in are having the big five, which is that blinking, breathing, swallowing, heartbeat, saliva, but there's other categories if it doesn't have to be just those ones. I work with a lot of people who have bladder fears, a lot of people that have palate fears, tongue up and down, stuff like that, and everything else in between. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think. I've made over 40 videos in sensorimotor between YouTube, actually, if you combine everything together, I've probably made hundreds of pieces of content, whether it's Facebook posts and our Facebook group, OCD Recovery. We have 18.2 thousand members, fastest growing Facebook group in OCD and anxiety-based disorders. It's moderated. You're not going to be able to go in there and seek out reassurance. We're very kind and we're very respectful. Hey, look, this is reassurance. We have to moderate it because a lot of these other forums, people are just going and going and going, and there's a lot of reassurance going on. And if you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com. Again, that is phil@ocdrecovery.com. So let's start off with the biggest common myths, the biggest mistake that people make when they come in to see me when it comes to sensorimotor OCD. Number one is telling yourself that you like the sensations. I see this on all the forums, all the websites, all the YouTube videos where people say, well, just welcome your sensations in. Just welcome them in and love them. They kind of use that wishy-washy tone. I always say you can tell if someone understands OCD by the way they're talking to you. If they're speaking to you like a baby, their knowledge is probably very poor and they're probably reassuring you. That's not to be mean. There's going to be a lot of hard truths in this video. Sensorimotor is something very deep to my heart. I was in the mental hospital. I wanted to kill myself. I was suicidal every single day. I didn't want to live anymore. I gained 50 pounds. I didn't leave my house. I wasn't working. It's hard to find someone that understands sensorimotor better than me, and obviously Rob, as I learned most of the material from him. So, well, and Ellis, really, because the principles from Ellis. So when people are saying to you, welcome it in, just allow the thoughts to be there. Welcome in the sensations, love them. That's not going to do anything for you. All that's going to do is keep you in this mantra, self-reassuring loop where you're constantly going over and over again, trying to convince yourself that you like your sensations. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is doing exposures for sensorimotor. Exposures matter the least. There is some applicability if someone comes in and they're really scared of their blinking, swallowing, saliva, breathing, heartbeat, all those ones. There is a time and place for some people. I don't like using percentages, but less than 2%. They have to be so petrified they're not leaving their house at all to sit in bed, 10 minutes, notice they're breathing, and they can kind of be like, okay, that's not the end of the world, and that comes to an end. The biggest and most important thing behaviorally when it comes to sensorimotor OCD or any hyper-awareness is decreasing the avoidance behaviors surrounding the sensations. You're going back to work, you're going back to the gym, you're socializing, you're decreasing venting, you're decreasing complaining, you're stopped seeing doctors. Usually with breathing OCD and heartbeat, there's a lot of health OCD in there as well, fear of dying, fear of losing control, fear of having a heart attack. But if you're doing exposures over and over and over again to your sensations, you are doing yourself a disservice. And when I ask people, why are you exposing yourself to your sensations? The answer is always the same. I am exposing myself to my sensorimotor OCD because, and the number one reason, I want the sensations to go away, which leads me into mistake number three. Thinking, and this is something I did for years, thinking that the end goal of sensorimotor recovery is to never notice your sensations again. This is a common mistake. It's a mistake I made a lot. The end goal of sensorimotor OCD is to accept any and all sensations, especially the big five, the blinking, breathing, salivating, swallowing, and heartbeat, but all the other sensations of physical symptoms of anxiety, DPTR, and change your perspectives. You will never, ever hear me say the words, how to never notice your sensations again, how to make your sensations go away. You'll never hear me use the word habituation. Habituation is a slippery slope term. In true sense of the word, is that what's happening? Sure. But when people say to me, I want to habituate, or when people are explaining to people, your goal is to habituate, I know they don't understand sensorimotor. Most OCD fears are not understood at all. POCD certainly not, because the fears are talked about publicly. But on the grand scheme of OCD fears that are understood the least, sensorimotor OCD is understood the absolute least, because of the general mental health community going for exposures and exposures only for that subcategory of OCD. But when you have sensorimotor OCD and you're going through it, you start to understand that the exposures in of themselves don't provide you with the relief you're looking for. Myth number 4, rumination is something that you're doing to yourself and you could stop doing. So rumination with sensorimotor OCD is noticing your sensations through a hyper-awareness platform perspective, where you're noticing your breathing, you're noticing your saliva, you're noticing all of that in an automatic fashion that's coming at the wedding days, the birthday parties, walking your dogs, watching Netflix, going to work, the day-to-day mundane tasks, cleaning chores, etc., gardening. That rumination automatic cycle is not something you're doing to yourself. It goes core fear, which we're about to go over that, which is the fear of noticing your sensations forever and your life being ruined, trickles down to a waterfall. Intrusive hyper-awareness trickles down to compulsions and avoidance behaviors. Rumination is primarily a symptom of your core fear. As your core fear comes down, there's no need for that automatic rumination. Yes, there is a degree of analyzing. I always say this on webinars. It drives people crazy because they want certainty. They want a line in the sand. Anyone that's telling you that you can draw a line in the sand and say, I know for a fact this is analyzing, I know for a fact this is rumination, that's not true. There's a blend. We don't even really need these terms. It's just important to realize that your brain's going to throw intrusive rumination at you, hyper-awareness all day long until you are no longer scared of noticing these sensations for the remainder of your life. If I went back to full stuck with sensorimotor OCD and was in the mental hospital, would I enjoy that? Of course not. I'm sure I would be sad. I might go through depression again. But the overall scheme is, I know I could probably come out the other side. Can't say for certainty, but that's how I would go with that. Now, the number one thing driving the sensorimotor OCD cycle is your fear, is the belief. If I notice these sensations for the remainder of my life is ruined. I can't stand noticing these sensations. If I notice these sensations, there's probably something wrong with me. That's where the breathing comes in, the heartbeat, hyper-awareness. So what do you do to actually get underneath this? Number one, book number 1 on the reading list. OCDrecovery.com, free resource tab, books are in order. Order book 1. How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes, Anything, by Dr. Albert Ellis, the creator of Unconditional Self-Life, Other Acceptance from an REBT perspective. I always recommend to read the book fully through, skip the exercises. Once you're done, go through, do the exercises on paper. That is absolutely critical. I have hundreds of calls a year, hundreds. And I talk to thousands of people a year where people ask me, is it necessary to dispute on paper? 100%. It is very, very important. If you're just doing it in your head, you're not taking it seriously, more than likely in the beginning, sitting down, don't tell me you don't have time. You can find time. Either you make time for OCD or OCD makes time for you. Again, some hard truths in this video, but I need to hear this. I know some of you need to hear this. Now, as you go about decreasing the avoidance and the compulsion surrounding not noticing your sensory motor or your hyper-awareness or any other sensation, it's important to realize that that in of itself isn't enough to decrease the fear fully. You will have to change your beliefs, and you will learn that in the book. You will change those dogmatic shoulds and musts to preferences, and in time you could see your sensory motor through a totally different light. I know I talked really fast in this video. I'm about to have dinner with my wife, and I've been working all day, and she's like, I know she wants to have dinner. So I said, let me jump out here and throw this video on. I haven't done a sensory motor video in a while. Summary: exposures aren't going to cut it and not really necessary. Be careful with meditation. Meditation's not inherently bad, but you're already so internally driven that you're better off not doing meditation for now and want to add that later when you have a better concept of unconditional acceptance. Acceptance is the key. The fear is, if I know this XYZ sensation, my life is ruined. I can't enjoy life. It's the black and white demand you're holding it. The sensation isn't the problem. It's your belief about it. Ooh, excuse me. Thank you. That might have been a record for most amount of words spoken, 9 minutes and 21 seconds on a YouTube video. If you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com, and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night or day. Well, it's night here. And hopefully we see you soon.